Chair of the House Republican Conference, Elise Stefanik, held a press conference earlier with over 15 of her colleagues on Capitol Hill. They're highlighting the growing crisis of baby formula shortages throughout the country. We had a chance to catch up with her afterwards to find out how this could happen in the United States of America.
Because this is Joe Biden's failed leadership, so this goes back to months ago, and my office has been a real leader on this issue. There was the recall of formula being manufactured and produced in Sturgis, Michigan. The FDA had absolutely no plan how to address that aspect of the supply chain crisis, but it even goes back earlier than that as a result of just the labor shortage in this country, the lack of accessing basic materials that are part of the manufacturing process. But what's really struck me is the sheer incompetence of Joe Biden and House Democrats, and frankly, failure to address any aspect of this. I wrote a letter in February reaching out to the FDA demanding, what is your plan? What is your plan, not only given the recall of formula being produced in Sturgis, Michigan, but what's your plan moving forward? We got no substantive response. Earlier this week, Ashley Hinson and I, she's a newly elected woman member, a mom of two from Iowa, reached out to the FDA again, saying, again, what is your immediate plan? No action. What did we hear from the White House yesterday? We heard absolute laughter, which is laughing in the face of moms and dads across this country. I'm a mom of my 9-month-old Sam. He's formula fed, and I will tell you, there are grandmothers across this country who every morning check to make sure Sam has enough formula, and we are very cognizant of the challenges this creates for families, particularly in rural communities like mine.
There are reports that the Biden administration is sending baby formula down to the border to support these illegal immigrants that are being detained down there. What's to make of that, and should this highlight the crisis on the border even further?
This is an example of the America last position of this administration. They're doing everything they can to put American families absolutely last. They're prioritizing illegal immigrants, illegal families over American babies. I went down to the border just weeks ago. I saw the shelves of formula down there, and it's a humanitarian crisis at the border. There is nothing compassionate about an open border. That's why it's important for us to secure the borders. But the fact that American mothers and fathers are desperately searching for formula, and yet you have taxpayer-funded formula going down to the southern border, that's un-American.
The protests in front of the Supreme Court justices' homes are entering into criminal territory. Pro-abortion activists are attempting to sway the justices' opinions. We thought it would be a good idea to speak with ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you so much for joining us on the Capitol Report.
Good to be with you.
Congressman, when it comes to the protests we're seeing out front of the Supreme Court justices' homes, does this cross the line of exercising our basic First Amendment rights, and why or why not?
Well, it's a direct violation of the law. 18 U.S.C. 1507 says you're not supposed to be going to the residence of a court, of a judge, of a justice, trying to influence and intimidate, which is exactly what they're trying to do. So, yeah, I think this is wrong. Well, look, I'm all for the First Amendment. I wish the Democrat Party would actually believe what they used to believe, and that is embrace the First Amendment, embrace free speech. So we want a robust First Amendment. But what's happening here is a direct violation of the law, and it's meant to influence, it's meant to intimidate the Supreme Court justices because of the draft opinion that was leaked 10 days ago.
Congressman, we used to hear a lot about dog whistles when former President Trump was in office. Are some of the Democrats emboldening these illegal protests from your perspective?
Well, it's a pattern. I mean, think about the history. It was 13 months ago that the chairman of the Judiciary Committee introduced legislation to pack the court, to add not one, not two, not three, but 4 associate justices to the United States Supreme Court. And they wanted 4 because they want to put 4 liberals on and have a 7-6 majority. That is truly packing the court. So they've got legislation that's already been introduced. 2 weeks ago, they had a hearing in the Judiciary Committee where they went after Justice Thomas. A week ago, we had the leak. Today, they're marking up bill. I just came from a markup, and they're marking up legislation where it would go after the court and put different kind of ethical requirements and standards, all again trying to intimidate the court. And next week they're having a hearing on the very subject matter the court is deliberating, the pro-life issue that is the Dobbs case in Mississippi. And while we're speaking, while this is all going on, you have protesters at the homes of justices on the United States Supreme Court. So it is all meant to intimidate, to influence, to get the outcome they want. And that is not how our system is set up. Separate and equal branches of government, the rule of law, respect for the court, the independence of the court is how our country is supposed to work, not the way the Democrats are trying to do things.
Congressman, I just want to switch gears here a little bit and ask you about inflation. The numbers kicked down a little bit, and the markets reacted in a positive way and then negative after a knee-jerk reaction. Is there a short-term solution to turn things around, or have we passed the Rubicon?
Well, I think that with the spending and the decisions that this administration has implemented relative to energy. I mean, energy drives so much of this. When you drive up the cost of gasoline, when you drive up the cost of energy, that's going to drive up every other good because you have to transport things, you have to move things. And it seems to be something that this administration doesn't understand. And even if they did understand it, the left that now controls the Democrat Party wouldn't let Joe Biden do the right thing, which would be to open up the Keystone Pipeline, open up ANWR, allow more drilling and federal leases to happen on federal land. They're not going to do that because the left won't let him, even if he wanted to. So, look, it's good news that inflation maybe ticked down a little bit, but it's way too high. It's a 40-year high, and every family is experiencing it, and that is why, Steve, 67% of our fellow citizens think the country's on the wrong track. I mean, there's a reason they think that. In fact, I've said many times that, you know, if 67% thinks, who are the 33 who think it's on the right track, for goodness sake? So let's hope it gets better, but I don't see how it can with the policies and the positions that the Biden administration has embraced.
That leads me to my last question for you, Congressman. You represent Ohio's 4th District. Ohio's a very good representation of Main Street America. What is the temperature of the average constituent in your district when it comes to the economy?
They can't believe it got this bad this fast. I mean, she was an older lady. This is a few months ago, but I was doing a little town hall meeting in a small group, and she kind of waited near the end. She was sitting there in the front, and I remember looking up. I mean, literally, her eyes started to kind of get glassy, and she said, "I never thought it could get this bad this quick." The American people have common sense, and they see what the left that controls the Democrat Party, they see what they have done. Intentionally open up at our border, giving us record crime levels in every urban area because they're defunding the police and not putting bad guys away like they should. Record levels of inflation, $4.40 average gasoline price in most of the country, $6 in California. Not to mention what they're doing to our First Amendment liberties, the attack on speech, the disinformation governance board, and of course, the foreign policy issues are serious and concerning as well. So, yeah, they never. The American people have common sense, Steve, and they never thought it could get this bad, this fast, this quickly. But it has, and I think that's why in November there's going to be a big change in the midterm elections.
Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey there, I'm Steve Lance, host of NTD's Capitol Report. I just want to thank you for watching. Unfortunately, due to big tech censorship, we're being forced to find alternative ways to bring you the truth. To catch our episodes with unfiltered content, meet us over at epochtv.com, where we can bring you the unfiltered, unedited truth. That's epochtv.com, EPOCHTV.com.